Hey everybody, it's Super O. I hope all of your 2020s are going great so far. You see, today's going to be a bit of a different video than my usual one. I thought it would be kind of fun to go over my favorite anime that came out in the previous decade, so between 2010 and 2019. Totally an idea I came up with on my own, not influenced by anyone else at all. Although I didn't really start watching anime like weekly as it was coming out until like around 2014, 2013, which was like my sophomore, junior year at school. Because before then, the only anime I'd say I watched weekly was Naruto. Like around my sophomore year is where I started to, intake more shows, especially shows that were in the previous years. So for a lot of them, I had to like look back at my anime list just to see what show came out in which year. But I think I got a good selection. So let's start. Also, I'm only limiting myself to put one season of my favorite shows for each year, and it can't be the same as a show I would put it in on a different year. Otherwise, half this list will admittedly be JoJo. Alright, let's start. Alright, my favorite anime that came out in 2010 is, and please forgive me if I butchered this name, but it's called Rainbow Nisha Rokubo no Shichinen. I really enjoy the series. Rainbow Nisha is a drama series about how 6 guys are sent to prison. And when they're all sent there, they all share a cell with one other individual named Sakuragi. And throughout the rest of the series, it just shows how all 7 of them develop a brotherly bond with each other. With each episode, it really shows how each character cares for the other very much, and how they'll do whatever it takes to help them out. The main characters that we follow are extremely likable, and it kind of makes that brotherly bond that they have with each other feel that much more immersive. Like, even when one of the characters acts kind of suspect towards the other bros, you at the moment of watching him would probably dislike him, but the rest of the bros will forgive him and put him back on track, and in return you'll forgive him too. Like, it's great. Also, because these boys entered the prison at a very young age, it's very interesting to see how they develop and mature into young adults. I don't want to give away too much about the show because I really recommend it if you haven't seen it, but if you do, I don't think you'll regret it. Also, Sakuragi is probably one of my favorite characters in anime just because how he connects the other guys together. So yeah, this show is awesome. Next year. Okay, so for the year of 2011, I wanted to give some shine to Tiger and Bunny. Tiger and Bunny is a superhero show about the veteran hero Wild Tiger and the rookie new hero Barnaby, who Wild Tiger refers to as Bunny. This show came out before My Hero and One Punch Man, so for me it was the first superhero anime that I've seen. I mean, no disrespect to Naruto and Goku, because they are heroes in their own right, but when I think of a superhero, I think more of like the Cape Crusaders, And Tiger and Bunny definitely captivated that feel for me. Well, Tiger and Bunny being the first superhero anime I saw, I really dug the whole concept of it with the story and the setting. Even the characters surrounding Tiger and Bunny were really interesting, like the other heroes. Because the other heroes weren't just cardboard, like cut out, like I'm here type of superheroes. They had their own personalities and struggles, which I thought was very interesting to watch because it made them feel like actual people. Honestly, if you like My Hero Academia, I feel like you would really vibe with this show. Now, if only it was my favorite anime of 2011. Originally, when I made my favorite anime of the decade list, for 2011 I did put in Tiger and Bunny. However, that was before I remembered a certain other show that came out that year. That show is Hunter x Hunter. I love Hunter x Hunter. To the protagonists, to the characters, to the settings, to the arcs, to the abilities, to the powers, like everything about Hunter x Hunter just fascinates me. Following Gon and Killua from the first episodes to how to develop more as hunters through their experiences and the techniques they learn,
probably the cleanest, best pleasure.
Also, the way how Nen works is one of the best power systems I've seen in an anime. The YouTuber Swagkage goes more in depth about Nen. I'll leave his videos in the description down below. But what I really like about it is that the Nen users can be able to put restrictions on their own techniques and abilities. And the stricter the restriction, the more powerful the move becomes, which I think is a pretty cool concept. And the powers are just the surface level of why I like the show. I like the bond between not only Killua and Gon, but their bond with Leorio and Kurapika. I love the villains that are the Phantom Troop. I even like how sus Hisoka is. Pause. I'm pretty sure this show is a well-known series by now, but if you haven't watched it, I seriously guarantee you do. You won't regret it. Next year. My favorite show to come out in 2012 has to be Kurokos Basketball. What's this show about? It's about Kurokos Basketball. Wow! Seriously though, this show is the first sports anime I've ever watched, and it's what got me more into sports anime. Between you and the people watching this video, between me and the people watching this video right now, I'm not a very sports enthusiastic person. I don't really care about watching the NBA or NFL, and I play basketball very casually. Not to say I don't enjoy playing the game, but if you put me on a court, I guarantee I'm the most sorry one on the court. I first learned about this show back in high school, like around my sophomore or junior year. And essentially, I was with a couple of my other friends, and we were just watching clips on YouTube, or just, I can't remember why, but we're just watching random anime clips on YouTube. And Kurokos Basketball was one of those clips. And we were just making fun of this show. Like, we were straight up being like, look at this show about basketball. Look at these wacky ass moves these guys are doing. Why are they standing in the air for so long? Does this nigga have a Sharon gun? You know, stuff like that. And at the time, I kind of had this preconceived concept of the show, thinking that it was just some goofy show about basketball. Until one day I was just bored and I wanted to try something new. And at the moment, I thought, you know, I can go for a good laugh. Let me fire up that Kurokos Basketball show. Thinking I was gonna watch about 3 episodes and call it a day. Bro, I watched about 12. This show is just so fire. This is about a team with a dream to be the best. And the team we follow, Seren High, develops more and more throughout the series and becomes a more solidified basketball team. And the more they showcase their teamwork, the more stronger their team becomes. And especially how Kuroko and Kagami work together. Like, I went from laughing at the show to actually cheering on Team Seren, which is more than I've ever done for when I was watching any other sport. Also, when Zone gets activated, it is the most sauciest thing to watch, especially when Aomini uses it. This show made me more open-minded to other sports animes like Haikyuu, Yomushi Pedal, Hinomaru Sumo. I just recently finished Slam Dunk, and I'm right now in the middle of watching Ahiru no Sora. Without this show, I don't think I would have actually given these shows a chance, which is why I gotta thank Kurokos Basketball for being that gateway to sports anime for me, which is why it's my favorite anime of 2012. Next year, still on the subject of sports anime, my favorite anime to come out in 2013 is Hajime no Ippo The Rising. Now, I love this show, and I think this season was especially well done. The matchups that the Kanagawa gym had this year were just great, from Aoki's trolling moves like the look away, which is by far the strongest move in all of Hajime no Ippo, to Ippo's fight with the mad dog that is Sawamura. I think my favorite fighter this season was definitely Takamura's fight, which Takamura never disappoints. Takamura's fight with David Eagle is one of the most hyped fights this season. I like how David Eagle in this season was a stark contrast to Brian Hawk, the opposing boxer of last season. Because where Brian Hawk was an uncaged douchebag, David Eagle actually had some class to him. Like, he actually fought fairly, and he just wanted to test Takamura's strength. And he was definitely a more respectable individual. I don't want to give away too much about this fight because the ending is just so hype, but if you haven't seen Hajime no Ippo, I recommend you go watch it. It's a very well done show. Next year, my favorite anime to come out of 2014 is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders. Although, I love JoJo as a whole. Not gonna lie, when I first saw Phantom Blood, I wasn't feeling it that much. I mean, I didn't think it was a bad show. I thought it was like alright, but I didn't get the whole hype around the JoJo series. And then I got to Battle Tendency, and that is where I started to get more interested in JoJo. And Stardust Crusaders is where JoJo solidified itself as one of my favorite series. Like, I love this show. It's personally one of my top 3 favorite animes, I would say. For this part, each of the Crusaders are very likable, and you feel an immersive bond with them. After watching our heroes overcome enemy attacks, it fills you with a very exhilarating feeling. Also, this was the season that integrated stands as abilities. The integration of stands in this series gave battles a more strategic and creative level. Like, strategies in JoJo becomes a very key thing to the battles. I mean, sure, there are some stands that are just too powerful, but for a lot of them, if the user gets outplayed or outsmarted, then they lose that battle and potentially live their life. Also, Jotaro Kujo is my favorite Joestar to date. I just love how badass he is and how he gives off these badass one-liners after each fight. It's just so great to see. Oh, and if you want to skip forward and watch Stardust Crusaders but you haven't seen Phantom Blood or Battle Tendency yet, here's some advice how to do that. don't. Next year. My favorite anime to come out in 2015 just has to be One Punch Man. I remember when the first season first came out and people were talking about this show everywhere. Even people who didn't watch anime watched this show. Like, this show was so popular, I'm surprised it took them about 4 years to give us a season 2. Like, it did really well. I love everything about this show. From the characters, to the heroes and their names, to their personalities, to the villains, to the goofy monsters. But what I really think I like about the show the most is Saitama himself. All Saitama wants to do is just have a battle that he could go all out in. But unfortunately, because he's so overpowered, he just can't find that thrill. Like, no matter who he faces, he'll just overpower them. Oh, and even with all this strength, that power doesn't go to his head. He still respects all the other heroes as well, and makes sure that the city recognizes the other heroes' efforts. I love One Punch Man so much that when the first season ended, I just had to read the manga, which is not something I do a whole lot. And then once I caught up to the manga, I read the webcomic by One himself. I just cannot get enough of this series, and it truly is my favorite series of 2015, and one of my favorite series as a whole in general. Next year. One of my favorite anime that came out in 2016 has to be Agen. Like, I really enjoyed this show. This show's about humans who can't die, who are referred to as Agen. And due to the trait of them not being able to die, society straight up despises them, and the cop Agen are experimented on by the government. However, eventually an Agen terrorist group is formed, and they start wreaking havoc everywhere. And this group is led by one man, Sato. That was one of the most insane villains I've seen in a show. The things he does in this show is just straight up ridiculous. Like, this is a man who takes full advantage of the fact that he can't die, and it's just so amusing to watch what he does. I don't want to give anything away, but I seriously recommend you go and watch the show if you haven't. Like, this man straight up obliterates everyone in his path while still having a smile. It's great. I know some people might be turned off a bit by the use of CG in the show, but personally I think it works really well with it, especially when it's used for the IBMs, which are the black ghosts that each Agen has. And that is why Agen is one of my favorite shows of 2016. Next year. My favorite show to come out of 2017, hands down, has to be Inuyashiki. Like, I really enjoyed watching this show. The show is about how an old man's body got replaced by a machine body. And with this machine body, he has super strength and can heal and can do all this stuff. And when he gets his powers, he decides to go out and become a local hero. However, there's someone else who also obtained a robot body. And this person, instead of being a hero, wants to kill people with his powers. And what I really like about this show is that it shows a duality between Inuyashiki and Hiro, which is the other person who has the robot body. It's really interesting to see what happens when powers fall into the right hands or when power falls into the dreadfully wrong hands. I really recommend watching this series if you haven't already, because the story is very gripping to the very end. Plus, that opening slaps so hard. Next year. My favorite anime that came out in 2018 is definitely Megalo Box. I loved every single second of this anime. The plot was very epic. I love Joe and Team Nowhere. That soundtrack, especially the soundtrack, slaps so hard, especially the main theme. Each episode got me more and more hyped for the next one. And the dialogue and voice acting is just so good. Like, one of my favorite lines from the show is from the first episode, and if you've seen the show, you probably know which one I'm talking about. And it's when Yori asks an unnamed Joe what his name is so he could put on a tombstone after their fight. To which Joe replies, "They don't make tombstones for stray dogs." With his theme playing in the back, goosebumps. Like, actual goosebumps. Oh man, I love this show. I love this show to death. Also, I thought this series was just a one and done season, but they're bringing it back in 2020 for a season 2. And I am so hyped for that. Like, unbelievably hyped for that. Anytime I think about it, I just keep getting more and more hyped. And it's so good. It's so good. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, I definitely go recommend watching this. You won't be disappointed. Next year. Alright, y'all, it's the final year of the decade, 2019. And honestly, I feel like this year was stacked with good shows. We had shows like Promised Neverland, Demon Slayer, Dororo, Rise of the Shield Hero, Dr. Stone, Fire Force, granted I've been slacking on that of recent, Beastars, The Rest of Vento Oreo, Vinland Saga, though between you and me I haven't seen it yet, but I'll get around to it. However, only one show can be crowned my favorite for this year, and that show is, drum roll please, you probably noticed because it wasn't part of the list, Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. Mob Psycho is such a phenomenal series as a whole. Honestly, backtracking to my favorite anime of 2016, Mob Psycho probably would have taken that spot too, but I didn't want a series to have more than one spot. Also, as fantastic as Season 1 was, Season 2 blows Season 1 so out of the water. But what did Season 2 get right? Let me think for a second. Literally everything. Animation on point. Characters as fuego as ever. Soundtrack A+. Fights A++. And this show is great at inciting whatever emotion it wants you to feel out of you. Whether it wants you to make you feel joy, or if you want you to laugh at its joke, or if it wants you to feel sad along with the characters. Like, I always find myself being swept by the emotions of the show. One of my favorite scenes in the show, and there's so many that I love, but one of my favorite scenes from this specific season is this one. Hey guys, this is me from the future. So originally I was going to play the end of episode 7 where Reagan asks Mob if he knew who Reagan really was, to which Mob replied, "Yeah, I know that you're a generally good guy, but the demonetization nation attacked and my video got copyright claimed, so I had to take it out. Sorry." Bro, I swear when I first saw that, I was fighting back tears. I gotta say, Bones really did their thing this year. And in case their studio or one himself somehow stumbled upon my video, I just want to say to them, thank you for the amazing series. Like, honestly. Anyway, that's it for my favorite anime of the last decade. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I want to hear your opinions. What was your favorite anime of the previous decade? Also, what do you guys think of this, I guess, commentary style of video that I'm doing right now? I'm thinking of posting a couple more in the future. It's a good way for me to just sit down and just talk about whatever opinions I have on whatever show or series or game or whatever that I just feel like talking about. Leave all your comments in the comment section down below, and as always, thank you for watching.